Motivation is a myth. Everyone keeps saying you need to get motivated and inspired before you can do big things. But motivation is the very reason why you're stuck in this cycle of starting something new and quitting within the week. Today I want to talk about how the misconceptions of motivation has put a very unrealistic and frankly toxic view on the powers of motivation, deconstructing each point of what our society thinks of motivation and explaining why it doesn't really work. From there, we're going to reconstruct your understanding of motivation to give you a new perspective of this behavior, as well as figuring out how exactly you can use it to benefit yourself, finally getting out of the cycle of starting new things and sticking to them instead. I will also reveal something that's even better than motivation, something to help you focus when you've lost all your motivation. So stick to the end to find out. But real quick, my name is Winn, and I'm a guy who only recently figured out what he wanted to do in life. But I was lucky enough to have my mom, who supported me every step of the way. And I know that not everyone has that. That's why this channel exists, to share and grow with all of you guys, using the things that worked for me. Now that we're done with the introductions, let's move on to the main show, shall we? Through our friends, families, and the often unrealistic goals of social media, we have gotten a very bad image of what motivation actually is. We think of motivation as the miracle maker, the thing that will suddenly get you to start your art project or get in shape. And it doesn't help when all our algorithms are pushing for us is a bunch of videos on how motivated people are and how motivation changed their lives. But it doesn't show how much work and effort it takes behind the scenes to get such dramatic results. As a result, we are conditioned to believe that if we don't have motivation, we can't progress, that we can't achieve our dreams if we don't have the motivation to. This unrealistic view on motivation has caused us to expect that we should get instant feedback and results. And when we don't, we lose interest, moving on to the next shiny object that caught our eye. So why exactly does motivation fail? Let's say you're very motivated to get ripped by the start of summer. You sign up for a gym membership, throw away all your snacks and sweets, go in for your first day at the gym, sweat buckets doing a bunch of exercises that you aren't ready for, and by the end of the day, you are exhausted and your motivation is probably dying by the second. Motivation fails because you're expecting it to give you instant success. And when you finally start to put in the effort, you end up doing way more than you're comfortable with, pushing yourself way beyond your limits. By the end of it, you quickly realize how unsustainable such a lifestyle is. And just like that, your motivation is dead. You no longer want to continue. Your gym membership is now a monthly expense that's never used. To make things worse, most of us don't want to admit that we've fallen for our unrealistic views on motivation, instead choosing to delve deeper into that misconception by hopping onto another thing and doing the exact same thing over and over, using motivation as our scapegoat. Now that we have an idea on how our views on motivation has been misguided, let's delve a little into how we can use motivation to build healthy systems instead. The very first thing we need to understand is that motivation is not our end-all be-all. Motivation is a stepping stone to push you forward towards your goals and dreams. It is something that we can use to put our foot into the water and get a grasp on how challenging our journey ahead is. That is what motivation should be. Once you understand that, we can start to build around this new understanding. We're going to use the same goal of getting fit by the summer. Using the knowledge that motivation is only used to get us through the front door, we have to use this motivation to set up a system for when it eventually dies. So, you want to get fit, but because you know your motivation is temporary, instead of suddenly throwing away all your snacks, you keep it hidden in a place that isn't easily accessible and give yourself a set amount that you can have every week. Something small enough that will keep you happy while still having a measurable impact on your goals. And instead of going to the gym and doing an unruly amount of exercise, you set yourself 3 to 4 small exercises that you can easily achieve daily, slowly increasing when you feel like you've gotten the hang of it. And only when you've gotten used to that do you consider going to the gym. These small systems you have set will help you to keep on moving when your motivation eventually dies down, simply because it's realistic. It's something that you know you can do. But even then, motivation will eventually die out completely. This is where I reveal our secret weapon, the thing that I would say is even more valuable than motivation: discipline. Discipline is way more important than motivation, as it is the thing that keeps you moving when you've all but run out of juice to continue. It is the thing that you will need when you look up to see how much left you have to push. Discipline is the thing that will stop you from negotiating with yourself when you're looking for an excuse to leave. Being disciplined is being able to set small, realistic goals for you to do every single day. Being disciplined is being able to self-reflect and understand that you're going through this hardship for a reason, that you're fighting for something that you want. It is the ability to choose long-term systems than a short-term adrenaline boost. It is the thing that will keep you moving motivating by giving you small steps that you can feasibly achieve. Yeah, it's not easy, and it's not flashy like motivation. It'll definitely be incredibly hard at times. But if you're disciplined, you would have set a minimum that you need to do. And that's enough. With time, these small things add up and you will reach your goal. And when you finally reach the top, you will realize my motivation didn't last more than a week. And that's perfectly fine, because that's not the job of motivation. Yeah, motivation can help, but it is not necessary. To conclude things, we have learned about how exactly our misconceptions on motivation has caused a very toxic expectation on what motivation actually does. We have deconstructed the very reason why people fail when they use motivation the wrong way. We have looked into how motivation should be used as something that gets you interested in something and pushes you to take the first step, something that allows you to know what you're getting into. And finally, we learned about discipline. Discipline is the thing that you will need in order to achieve your goals. It does this by making you choose realistic systems that you can follow when you are looking for excuses. We need to learn to appreciate discipline more, as we are worse off without it. I hope that you all have learned something new, and hopefully your new views on motivation has motivated you to try out a long forgotten dream, but with discipline side by side. With that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. But it doesn't show how much effort it takes to show how much effort it takes. To make things worse, most of us don't want to admit that we've fallen for our unrealistic goals on motivation. Views! Views! It was so good, why did I... Instead, choosing to delve deeper into that misconception, and doing the exact same thing. You're so close!